Welcome back to You Are Here. I'm Danny, and so glad that you've made it. This podcast is all about growing up, learning, figuring it out, and I'm glad that you are here to listen to this one today. We are figuring out what it means to be a woman, what feminism means. Is it important? Is it relevant? Can you be a Christian, be a feminist? Where is the role of what does being a woman mean? Did I already say that? I feel like I already did. Anyways, but we're talking about that. All things being a girl, being a woman, growing up, and really excited. I have a very, very special guest. My mom is here, and we're going to be talking all about it, and she is so wise, so brilliant, and I think you'll love it. So stick around. What's up?
So excited to be here today.
That's great.
So cool that we get to do
Glad
this together.
You're here.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I really just wanted to talk about I don't like girlhood simplified. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But really more I wanted to bring you on to talk about just the journey of growing up, becoming a woman, finding your voice and your space as a woman. And and obviously we always have conversations about what it means and stuff. But yeah, anyways, I think this can be a fun conversation. It's not going to be too...
It's not serious.
Yeah, it's not
We're
serious.
in our living room.
Yeah.
I'm wearing my Crocs.
Yeah.
I am in the most relaxed
I'm
place.
wearing my Birkenstocks. We are chill. I'm wearing track pants. I could go on a hike right now with what I'm wearing. Yeah, but I won't. I will sit right here and we will film this podcast. But
cool.
So just really chill. But I would love for you to talk about what's I think your earliest girly memory.
Girly memory. I remember, so back in the day, I was incredibly skinny.
Hold the mic closer, Mom.
Okay.
Like that?
Okay. So back in the day, I was incredibly skinny. And I remember seeing magazines, 17 magazine and all the different girly magazines out there. And I would see women that were developed and how I wanted to just become a woman. So I am 10 years old. I weigh 50 pounds. I don't even know. Yeah. And I wanted to have the curves. That to me meant womanhood. That to me meant, wow, I will be beautiful. And I remember we had this encyclopedia that my parents had bought us, and it was the story of the ugly duckling, actually.
In the encyclopedia?
It's so sad. It was an encyclopedia, but it was a children's encyclopedia, and it had stories, and it had all these different things. And I remember my sisters and I were obsessed with just reading when we were little. The story of the ugly duckling was there, and of course the duckling becomes then eventually a swan. And I remember thinking at the age of 10, 11, was hopefully one day I will become a swan. Hopefully one day I will have curves. I will look like a woman, not look like a little boy. Yeah. And that is the earliest memory that I have of hoping and wanting to become a woman, because I saw myself as a child. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. That's crazy though. That's crazy that your first memory with that was associating of being I'm not good enough, basically.
Absolutely.
I'm waiting to be better.
Which I'm waiting to morph to a duck or a butterfly.
Or an alien.
Something.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's crazy.
But it's so interesting because if you think about it, we didn't have internet back in the day. We had television, of course, and then we had print. That was it. So for me, the influence was through print, that I would see these beautiful images or on TV. Yeah. But that was it. I can't imagine living in today where you're getting bombarded on all sides. What a woman should be, what womanhood looks like, what femininity looks like, because you get it from everywhere. There's no rest.
Yeah, that's true.
9 day.
That's true. I mean, I think that for sure, you obviously had print and, what else did you say? Print and something?
TV.
And TV, right. But you also had your environment. I mean, my grandma, she loves looking good.
She
and
does.
valid, and she does look good. She looks good all the time. I can't think of one memory where she hasn't been looking good. But I think also that definitely has an effect on how you perceive yourself and everything like that. I mean, I think I'm trying to think my earliest memory of being a girl or girly. I don't really think mine is I can't remember the first time I was insecure. But I do remember just like sitting in school with my friends and like talking about like the drama and like just talking about like girly things like movies on TV that we liked on Disney Channel and like just bonding over those things. I feel like that's something that's so essential to like to just being a girl. I don't know, like bonding over like common interests and things like that. I feel like women are just so good at building connections with like mutual things. I mean, you also had a lot of sisters too. You have two sisters. So like, did you notice any differences with like, I guess how they were coming into like their own self or like what, like, I guess their version of like girlhood or like womanhood looked like in their lives or anything like that?
I'm trying to think back. Mind you, this is a 50-year-old brain.
Barely.
Barely. Trying to think back of what it was like growing up. I'm thinking as you're speaking, I'm just thinking of that picture that we have of you where your dad gave you that princess purse.
Oh my god.
You have to share that picture.
I don't know where it is. I'll share it on, I'll find it and put it on social.
So funny.
Yeah.
But I think of the smile on your face and I just think of like if there was like a moment that you define girlhood, it's right there. It's in that little girl with that big smile.
Do you want to share the story of like how I got that purse?
I don't remember.
Oh my gosh, I remember. That's crazy. I got the purse because my mom had set up this like system in the house. Basically, like, I don't even know what even to call it. Like, it just like, don't be a rat system. And it was like, if I was like nice to Derek, if I like cleaned my room, if I don't even know, like,
chart.
Did my home. Yeah, it was a chart. I don't even know what it was called. I'm calling it the don't be a rat chart because it was like basic human principles. Like, just like, don't be mean, like whatever. And if I got like a star every day,
yes,
I would get a prize at the end of the week. And I feel like that like little bag was like not even, it was from like Dollar Tree, like it wasn't even anything like amazing.
It was from Payless. Thank you very much.
Payless,
that's
period.
right.
Okay, never mind, we had money. And so yeah, but I remember being so excited because like I earned it.
That's right,
I earned that bag.
Oh, that's the cheese right there.
Yeah, like I earned it and I loved it. I was so, it's like this pink, it's like in the shape of a crown, right? And then it has like a little furry like boa on the outline on the top, and it had like the 3 Disney princesses.
So much.
It was so cute, and it's like pink. And in the photo, I just finished like taking a bath or something, so like my hair is all wet. I'm wearing this like my PJs to go to bed, and I'm like cheesing with my dad getting me this bag. It was so cute.
The achiever. Yeah, no, but going back to my sisters, you know, and growing up, I think that because oh my gosh, I remember this story. Growing up and our younger sister, Lizzie, was always wanting to be with us, with Nancy and I. And we would do makeup, we would do our hair and all that. And Lizzie was like maybe like 6 and we were, of course, 12, 13, 14, right? So I remember there was one time that we were going to be going out and Lizzie tagged along with us. I was driving, so no, I must have been like maybe 15. I don't even remember. Anyways, she tagged along with us and she came out with just a long shirt with... with a belt across, like it was a butterfly belt on her waist and lipstick. And then she had done her makeup like to the nines. And she looked ridiculous. She knows. Sorry, sissy. But she did. But she thought I look like the girls now. Yeah. And she just wanted to be part.
Like a lady.
I look like a lady, yeah. And she was part of the girls club now and she could hang out with us. But I think that we always grow up looking at our moms, looking at other women and saying like, wow, she's beautiful. She is the measure of beauty. And that's what I aspire to be. Yeah. But it's really hard to see ourselves as like beautiful as that. We are that for others, for sure. You know. So that's one of the memories that I can think of growing up.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I think it's so fun to like hear about how, I feel like there's always like a common thread of like how girls figure, I guess, how they're like coming into like, or like what a woman should look like or like should be, I guess, in their like growing up and being young, which I think is just so sweet and like innocent. I think it does take so much more time though to actually like settle into being a woman, and like even conversations we have with them recently, I mean, they're like, I can't believe I'm here, like I can't believe I'm doing, like they're still figuring out what their version of being a woman and like taking space, like owning space, like all those things mean like in their lives. And I just feel like that's so crazy. What is I guess something that you've had to, I guess, learn as you have, or yeah, like, is that, I guess, like, owning, like, being a woman, is that like a skill you learn of, like, every day you're like making choices, or is that something like one day it just like clicked for you and you're like, oh, like, I'm grown now, like, I need to figure it out? Or like, what's your take, I guess, on
I think like
that?
you always see yourself, and now being on this side and being now 28 years married with 2 adult kids and, almost hitting 50 this year. It's like you're always evolving as a woman, as a person. You're always learning and growing. And I don't think that I've arrived to being, but now I'm in a space where I really am comfortable in my skin. And I think that at the beginning, I was still trying to figure out who I was, what I needed to be for people, what I needed to be for your dad, for friends, for whomever. And now I'm at a place of just really at peace and comfortable in my own skin, that I'm good enough. I don't need to be trying to be anything else. I'm comfortable. That's why I don't work out. I don't care.
Yeah, who cares?
Who cares? Who cares? That's why I eat cake. I have fun, But in all seriousness, I think that you come to that place that you don't have to be that beautiful. You are beautiful. You are a woman. You are everything that you have in you. It serves a purpose, but it was so beautifully done by God and made you that way. We have society and we see what's going on and everything. And like, what is a woman? There's a great documentary out there for anyone that wants to see it. What is a woman? And it's trying to define what a woman is. And the reality is that when you ask all these women what a woman is, no one can even answer it, which is crazy that women would not be able to even answer a very question of who we are, right? I think a woman is a beautiful human that was created in the image of God with a tenderness and the breath of a perfect God that expresses beauty like nothing else can. And I love it how God would do that in so many different shapes, sizes, forms, colors, and the nationalities and everything to display just beauty.
Because you can.
Because he can.
Yeah.
And we get to carry that, So as far as what your question about, what is it, womanhood?
Yeah, well, I love something you said, actually. I'm curious about your take on it, because you said, like, just recently you've like figured out, like, oh, I don't have to be all these things for everybody and like whatever. Do you think like that's something that like in when you were like just married, when you just had Derek and I, like when you were like growing up and figuring it out and being a wife and being a mother, do you think there was capacity in your life to also know that like you didn't have like capacity in your life to like know that you're actually good enough, just you? Or do you think like that was something that you needed the time to like learn and grow in?
I needed to grow up. I need to grow up and not feel the pressure that I felt societally. Societally. Is that even a word? From society? Yeah.
Societally?
Yeah. And also from myself and from what like I had grown up into, because growing up Hispanic, growing up, in the environment that we grew up, I remember my mom kidding around, but not really, and saying like, I dare not go to the store without makeup and heels and she was always dressed up. You remember her?
What I say?
Always dressed up. You don't know who you're gonna meet. You don't know who you're gonna come across. And small town. We lived in a really small town. Now, I mean, if I go out, no one knows me. Who cares, right? But she was always so concerned about the way that she looked. And I know that I carried some of that, that I needed to look a certain way. I needed to be a certain way. I felt that pressure to be this person, right? And now I'm at ease with my Crocs and just going and looking like a mom and all the things, right? But I had to come to that place of like loving me and caring for me. I remember sometimes, while you guys were growing up, and sometimes the house would be in disarray and things were just out of order. And I would remember feeling that like anxiety rise in me of like, things are not in order, things are not done. And all of these different things, that demands that I had placed on myself to be this perfect mom, this homemaker, and have meals and have a tidy home and have all the different things, right? The things that I thought were what a wife, what a woman is supposed to do. Those roles that I grew up seeing And then I thought,
But
well,
guess what? They're all things that men can also do.
oh, well, there's that, but we won't go into that right now. But but it made me realize, like, wait, I also have a job. I also work full time. I'm trying to also school my kids, and then I'm trying to keep all these things, these balls in the air flowing. I'm like, there's no way I can do this, and I can continue on this pace. So I'm just gonna relax, and I'm gonna let my house be dirty. I'm gonna allow others to do things that they can do, and not just put it all on me to be super mom, super wife, super whatever.
Yeah.
And once I let go of that pressure, it was freeing. It was freeing, and I've never looked back. I'm like, all right, it's all good. It's not, there's that pressure to be perfect, that pressure to be that mom is gone.
Yeah.
No longer.
Yeah.
Not competing. No.
That's good. That's really
Yeah.
good. What do you like if you could tell your like 16, 17-year-old self like anything about like being a woman and growing up and figuring it out, what would be, or what's like your biggest piece of advice for her, for that version of you?
Ooh, that's a great question.
I think my piece of advice for myself would be maybe where I'm trying to think how old I was. Okay. My biggest, or where I was, I guess. I know how old I was. I asked the question. But I don't know. I think my advice would be to just like chill. I think probably to like read a lot more as well. But I think like I think I cared a lot about, I cared a lot about like keeping up, not like appearances, but I think keeping up and being like, I don't know, because I mean I was like in church and like was doing internships and all this stuff. I think I cared that like my view of things at that time was like in line with like what was being shown to me or like taught, and I don't think I really cared about questioning things as much as I do now. And I really do wish I would have just been a little more bold and like would have chilled out, in the sense that like I would have stopped caring if like people didn't take it right or whatever. I think I wish I would have just asked more questions, because I definitely had them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wish I just didn't hold back as much.
I think I would say just talk more, girl. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
I think
To
that I
you?
would, to myself, I would tell myself, like, speak up, talk more. I think that I was quiet and I was reserved, and I would try to listen in to people. And it's interesting what I do now, because that's what I actually do all day long. I listen, right? But I had strong opinions. I had those things. And I think that I was more hesitant to share what I really thought, because I didn't want people to be upset or to not ruffle feathers. And that did no service to me, because I just stayed quiet in my thoughts. And now I sit with people and I tell them all day long what God says, yes, but also what I think. And that has been something freeing. That has come with time, it has come with experience, it has come with just growing up, So I would tell myself that for sure. Make some noise, take up space. Don't just shrink back in the background.
It's funny, you and I would give like that version of ourselves the same amount of time. Can you just speak up? You can be in the video, Derek. What is your question?
Can you move your, no, I said, can you move your chair?
Oh, where?
Like, not so.
Are you
angled.
pausing it? Oh,
Oh, it's fine. You can just keep on.
Not so angled, but like a little more back.
back
Yeah.
this way.
Like that?
Not like all the way back, but like so like angled. But not like angled, but just like, because right now it's like this, and then just like this.
Okay.
Like
so like
this?
that?
Yeah,
Is that
Okay.
better?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I noticed that for all the video.
Okay.
It's covered.
By the mic?
No, by her hair. So this way it opens up.
Oh, okay. Good.
her face.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
That better? Okay.
Wait, I have to take a big breath. I realize. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Okay, wait, where are we? What were we talking about? Our questions to ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's funny that both of us would give each other the same advice. I think for different reasons though. I think which is like another interesting part about like I think this is just like being a human, not necessarily being a woman. But I think like getting older, you realize that people may do the same thing, but like out of a different source, if that makes any sense, and like for a different reason. And even within yourself, like you may be in one group of people and you feel the need to like keep up appearances and like be a certain image, and then you come up with the other group of people and you don't feel that, but you feel like I don't know, like you don't feel a pressure to like keep up appearances, but you feel a pressure to like know as much, or like you feel like the same thing in a different way. I don't know. I think that's another really interesting part of like growing up, that you're feeling the same emotion but like for a different reason. And I just think that like takes a lot of time, I think. And I would love for you to talk about like, I don't know, I guess like the process of I guess like I like deconstructing like those ways, like you even mentioned with your mom and like how she raised you, like deconstructing those patterns like within a woman that you have to grow up and out of, you know, in order to become like more of yourself and to allow yourself to become more, you know. But yeah, like what
I think
what
like
does that
early
look
on we're taught to like give to be quiet, to not take up space, you know. And if you grew up in a household, you know, I'm talking about my household, where that was not really something that was encouraged, or I didn't see it modeled. You know, my mom was not around when I was growing up, so I didn't get to see a lot of that. I didn't get to see strong women around me. So I think that that makes a huge difference too, that if you're in an environment where you're seeing strong women around you and it's being modeled for you, success and, you know, and striving for more and doing all those things. I think that for my sisters and I, we kind of had to figure things out on our own and become our own people, you know, eventually grow up into the women that we are today through a lot of hardship, through a lot of difficult, you know, circumstances with family and all of that. And that made us resilient, and that made us strong, and that made us who we were. I was talking to someone earlier this week, and I was sharing with her that I never wanted to get married, actually, that I just wanted to date perpetually and never, ever settle down and all that. And I was like, 100%, that was a trauma response, 100%, and I understand that now. I'm like, but then I met someone that changed my mind, that I was like, wow, it would not be bad to be married to this man. And I've been married to him for 28 years now, because he changed my mind in the way that he was and the way that he treated me. But it takes growing up and allowing yourself to allow love in and to develop and to forgive and to think maybe things can be better for me. So I don't remember what the question was.
The question was like ways to deconstruct like those things that you have to unlearn to become yourself. But I think an even better way to say that is like, do you have maybe like 3 or like 2 or 3 questions that you like think are great to ask yourself when you're trying to go through that process of like becoming like just growing up, really for anybody, but like even if you know, for women, but for everyone, you know.
What do I want? Like, what do I want out of life? Like, what do I want? We don't ask ourselves that question many times. Like, we aspire to do things, to be something. It's like, I want to be a mom, you know. Okay, well, all right, want to be that. But what do you want? Do you want to have a fulfilled life? Do you want to have a career? Do you want to travel? Do you want to do those things? I think asking yourself that, what do you want? Because now you get to create that life. Sometimes we're just going with whatever is presented in front of me, and we don't have a plan. We don't really know what we even want. I think that's one question that I would ask myself, that I wish that I would have asked myself starting on.
That's good.
Another one would be, can I love myself? Like, what do I do to love myself well? Is there anything that I do to take care of myself?
To fill like your
to
bucket.
fill my bucket, to fill my happiness, not everybody else's. Because and a lot of it, maybe people do this really well. I know I didn't. I think that I was crucifying my life for the sake of family, giving my life away to them without really. And I mean, yes, we are loving we are supposed to do those things, but I would not do those things that were fun, just for fun for me, because it was always putting others first, if it was my kids first, if it was my husband first, if it was church first, and it was always giving of yourself. And I think that I learned that growing up, that sacrifice and being sacrificial was super important, but the cost of it was quite high, in losing myself in some of that. And I think that I could have done both better, you know? Yeah. So that's something that looking back, I wish I would have done more of the self-care, more of the caring for my heart, doing more things that brought me joy, so I could then show up as a better mom for you guys, as a better, wife for Eric, as just a better friend, period. But I would think that there was so much depletion going through life and not allowing myself to be filled, with things that brought me joy. So
that's good.
Yeah.
I think to add to that question, so you said you would ask yourself, what do you want? What do I want? And then you would ask yourself,
like, what are some things that bring me
can I love myself?
Can I love myself?
Like, how am I loving myself? I think I would just ask a simple question of, like, why? Why am I doing this? Like, and I feel like it's like it's a basic question, but I think for me, I ask myself that a lot, too, like, and then I take it back to my therapist and I'm like, hey, why was I doing that? Can you tell me, Miss Gloria? Yeah, because like anyways, but I do think like just questioning your motives genuinely of like, why do I feel this way when I'm around this one group of people or this one person? Like, why do I feel the need to overwork myself in this area? Or like, why do I feel like I'm behind in this area? Why do I feel like people don't understand me when I'm like doing this? I don't know. Like, just asking yourself why, I feel like is just really helpful, not only to understand yourself, but to also like understand the environments you're in, and to just like just like check your levels. I don't know.
True.
Yeah.
I love that question. The why.
Yeah. It's so simple, but I think we forget it a lot. And I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this next statement I'm going to make without it sounding a little sacrilegious, but I feel I like doing that.
Just say it.
I think like Christians specifically, and I would say I feel like most people of faith, but I feel like Christians have a really difficult time. We talked about this earlier this week, but with tension and like living within two realities that are true and that are fully happening at once. And I think like when it comes to like servitude and like being a wife, being a mom, being an employee, being a boss, being whatever that season of your life requires you to be, being a student, whatever that is, there is a way that you can serve people and help people that does not equate to martyrdom. And I think like so many times we think like we have to hang ourselves upside down on the cross like Peter in order to get like whatever. And I actually think, which is like, this is what I mean is like, this is kind of sacrilegious. I feel like that's actually the easiest way out. You know what I mean? It's the easiest thing to say like, well, I gave them everything and I did everything. And like, and what ends up, and I feel like most oftentimes what that actually breeds from somebody is like, you owe me. You know what I mean? And I think about all of the moms I've come across that are like, my kids don't ever call me and like whatever, and I gave them everything and whatever. All the sacrifices I made. It's like, number one, nobody asked you to do that. You're meant to be raising adults, not children their whole lives. You know what I mean? And if they owed you something, like what were you doing? And it's because they weren't doing it out of the right source. Right. Again, it goes back to the whole thing. Because
again, it goes back to like not being yourself, giving yourself those things that you needed to sacrifice for others.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's crazy. Yeah. That is crazy. And so that's what I'm saying. And I think like there's so many times obviously in scripture and like we see like even Jesus like going and being like, I'm taking a nap, or I'm gonna go pray, or I'm gonna go like do whatever like I need to do. Obviously like then he went to go die for us on the cross, like that's what's point. But I'm just saying like there's even like boundaries set within like his story, and then even like furthermore the other disciples and everything. So anyways, I just think that is something that as Christians, we have a difficult time living in the tension of like actually service to my family, to my friends, to my coworkers, to whatever can also mean me saying no.
Absolutely.
And me being like, I'm actually going to go do this
Right.
instead by myself, where it benefits no one but myself.
That's
But
okay.
like, but then I'm doing everything else from the right source, you know? And I think we downplay the importance of like functioning from a healthy source, you know?
Yeah, and you know when you get unhealthy because you lose joy, the joy of serving others, the joy of like sitting with people in their pain. You lose that, you know. And I find myself that where I know that I need to rest is when I look at my phone and I look something come through and I'm like, ugh, I'm so tired. I have like absolutely nothing to give anymore, right? So I've had to make just a conscious effort to 5 o'clock comes Monday through Thursday. I'm putting it out there for those friends of mine that know. But Monday through Thursday, I will be available 9 to 5. Thank you. Once 5 hits that Thursday, that's it. I will not get and respond to things, emails, calls, all the different things because now it's infringing on my personal like restorative time where I need a Sabbath. The job that we get to do is amazing and it is a calling, yes, but it's a calling that's over humans. And this human can't carry all the stuff that people have, right? All the trauma, all the emergencies, all the things. We just can't physically do that. I need time to restore. I have a family that I love to be with, that I want to be with. So we have to place those boundaries and they have to be really hard, you know, boundaries. And I think I've learned in this time that I've been doing this to put those boundaries down because if not, I lose the passion and the compassion that I should have for others. But no is something that as a woman and as really a human, you have to learn to do, to say no. Like, no, that does not, I can't, you know, and that's okay. You don't even have to make excuses. You just say, no, that's it. And I think that's really hard because we have been taught to sacrifice, to go above, go the distance, you know, give the jacket, the cloak off your back and all these different things, which is awesome, right? But when you're in 20-degree weather and you have no cloak to cloak yourself, you're going to die of hypothermia. Just saying. Yeah. So those are things that we have to learn as we grow up.
I think the other balance of that as well is like what does like your season and like your space and time require of you? Because sometimes you are in like, I'll give you the cloak off my back era, and you can like you can give somebody your jacket, give someone your shoes, like whatever, because you're not in that space. But like if like the airplane, like you put on your mask, then you can help somebody else.
That's right.
Like that's what it comes down to, that like there is an element of like we as human beings, like we are mind, body, and soul and spirit or whatever. And so like all those three things require care in different ways. Right. And I think most of the time when people are coming at us with whatever, it typically requires care in like one of those ways. And it's typically tangible, just saying. And so, which is like the easiest thing to solve, you know? And I think and that's why I was saying earlier that I feel like it's the biggest cop out to just like kill yourself for no reason, because rather than like taking the time to like assess who you are, and like if you're doing it out of like a healthy place, you're just giving and giving. And so like in that sense, like you don't even need God anymore. Like you've got it handled. And yeah, I think, and like I said, like if people are coming to you all the time with stuff that's like solvable, and you're just solving all their problems, like they don't need God either, you know? Yeah. So it's like just such a cop out, instead of saying like, no, like I'm going to take this time, you can take this time, you can go find God, like you can go do that. Then, you know what I'm talking about? But I feel like that's been something that I've definitely had to learn. I would love to know your thoughts about like, what do you think a girl like state of the union, like how do you think like womanhood, the girls like coming up now, are like in your I mean, obviously you've like I think seen like different generations of girls like growing up, and you were a youth pastor too for a little bit. So like now all these girls are like now women, and now obviously my generation, like now we're all women too. So I don't know, I wonder like what are your thoughts about like women and like how we've grown and like progressed in
It
time?
excites me. It excites me to see where women are today, because like I said, growing up, we really didn't have a whole lot of women to pick from and to look up to when it comes to smart, independent, courageous in the marketplace, in the in all these different spaces now that women are in, and to see also that women are now the highest number of women are now educated, the education that has taken place, the opportunities for women. So it excites me to see where we're at and where we're going with this generation, that now women seem to know more what they want out of life than before. Before there was very traditional, where it was like, I just, and nothing wrong with this, right? But I just want to get married and have kids. That was it. That was your aspiration. And I'm talking about my generation, right? And that was it. That's all that you could aspire to do, to be, and grandparents too, right? And now you see women coming up and being anything that they want to be. The independence, the just making your own path, your own way, and being free to be themselves. So it excites me. It excites me to see. And I get to work with women that are incredibly strong and have a voice and have a space, and their voice is welcomed. There's space at the table for them to speak their mind, to shape direction, and to bring inspiration and collaborate and all that. And that is like the best thing, So I work in the best place, so I love it.
That's awesome. Do you like, because I mean, you said that women, like their aspiration was to get married and have a family. I think what's interesting about the generations I think that came after is a lot of them then came from like divorced families, and a lot of them came from women who like did that and then had to like eat, pray, love their way out of it, and they had to just go and like find themselves because of that, because of the whole source problem, right? And so I don't know, does that like excite you, or does that like, or maybe it's both, like does that excite you or like concern you that also my generation is not getting married as fast as like previous generations? I mean, and even I guess the generation before mine as well, like they're not getting married as fast either.
I mean, I come from a generation that even though I saw that modeled after me, my parents' marriage ended up in divorce still. And when I share, like, it's so important to take care of your soul, to take care of yourself, is because I saw that not done well with even my family, right? So I think that it makes me sad to see that marriages have gone in the way that they have, that there are a lot of people, your age and the generation before, that they have seen their parents' marriage come to an end and are now really thinking like, is marriage even something that I even want to do? Yes, people are getting married later in life. I think that's actually good, because they get to grow up. They get to do the things that they want to do before entering, a commitment that is lifelong. So I actually think it's a good thing that, that women are waiting a little bit longer to get married, and and men too. I think that men need to grow up, and women do too. So it's a good time to grow up. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think I agree. I think because there's been, I guess, like this reputation with marriage that like, and I think that so many people have like watched their marriages and been in homes like watching marriages fall apart. I think there's almost like I'm sure some people are like jaded.
Right.
For it was like valid.
I said I didn't never want to
get
married.
Like hello. Valid. But I do think there's another like group of people that are like, it's just genuinely so serious. And I think it's like they're taking it seriously now, where I think because the expectation back then was like set that like you meet someone nice, you get married and you have kids, because of that expectation it seemed like you can just go find a wife off the street or like a husband off the street, because like that's what we have to do, like we have to get married. And so, but I think now seeing that like it obviously didn't work out like happy American perfect family, I don't know, I agree with you though. I like that there's kind of this like ease to marriage in the sense that like I guess like to the process of marrying, that it doesn't feel like I don't feel pressure.
And I think about that because like we get to sit with a lot of couples that are going through counseling and they're trying to figure out, okay, they're dating and all of that. And whenever we sit with couples and we see all these little red flags coming up left and right, like the advice is not just go run and get married and this is going to fix it. It was like, absolutely wait. Yeah. You have some years to develop this part of your life because that is not going to change once you get married. It's just going to, just really become highlighted and it's not going to go well. So there is no rush to doing it now. And I am against one of those that says, just get married. It'll solve your problems. Absolutely not. It will add 10 million problems. So
let's just tangle up our lives together with
and
all of our problems.
Bring a baby into the picture too. Yeah. Absolutely not. That's insanity. So I don't believe in those things. I think that if you're struggling and that you are wanting to do things, you just need to go get a dog and care for the dog. And I've said that before. Don't be responsible with something that you don't kill, and then think about getting into a relationship. But I like the fact that people are waiting longer and that they're going into it more educated, more, waiting a little bit, more mature too. Because when you're 18, 19, 20, 25, your brain is still developing. You're still not even fully an adult. So hopefully people are taking the time and really thinking through before they pick someone that could bless their life or pretty much end it. So yeah,
that's good. Okay, I did want to ask you this one because I feel like this is a good like convo. I mean, I feel like we've talked about relationship, we talked about marriage, we talked about like even societal pressures for like women. Do you think that feminism and like those things has played a role in like where we are like as a society, but also like within Christianity and like the church and like interacting with that? I mean, obviously you're like a pastor, capital P pastor on staff, and like that in and of itself is like controversial, I guess. But I'm just curious of like your take of like do you think that there is space for that, for like even, I don't even know, like just like feminism in those spaces or like in your life? What do you think about that?
Well, feminism came about from a place of wanting equality, right? And that's why the feminist movement even began, fighting for equal rights, fighting for a voice and a space at the table. We're incredibly blessed to be where we're at, that we have a space at the table. We are able to do those things. Is there space and room for that tension of being a feminist and fighting for rights, but also being a Christ follower and like submitting under authority? Because that's the tension, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
That is the tension. So can I be a fully woman, pastor, mom, friend, all the things, but also be submitted to my husband, submitted to God? I think that you can do both, that you can. What I love, there's a scripture, I'm trying to think where it's at. If it's Ephesians, Galatians, I can't remember. Anyways, but it says, there is neither a Jew, there is neither, which one I'm talking about, but there's neither male or female, and it's like that equality, right? That we can see ourselves through that. And I think that many times women have had to step up to this place of like, well, I will fight for this right, because they haven't had a voice. They have felt like second-class citizens. They have felt that there is someone that needs to assert that type of authority over them. And we have a joke. Your dad and I will always joke about it. Like whenever I'm a little bit on the bolder side and I'm saying this and this we have to do, he will say the word "sométete, Diana, sométete," and that means like submit yourself, Diana, submit yourself. And we laugh about it because first of all, he would never ask me to do that. That's not something. But I am able to lean in and hear what he has to say, and he hears what I need to say, because it's equally important. Yeah. It is equally important for us to get that strength from each other. He has no idea how to be female. I have no idea how to be a male, but his strengths I need, and my strengths he absolutely needs too. So in us walking this life together, and doing this, what we get to do together. I have to show up as fully me, and he shows up as fully him, and we are fully strong and independent in our own role and in who we are. So a space for feminism, a space at the table, a space with voice, I think we have where we are. I think that I would love to see even more women come up and speak their mind and do the things that God has given us a voice. I love you go through God's word and you see the different women of the Bible. Like I love Jael. Jael is like one of my heroes, that she was willing to do what no man was willing to do. And Deborah, she was willing to do what no man was willing to do. So God has called us to own the calling, own ourselves, to be who he's called us to be, and to not be ashamed of it. I think that there's safety and protection in us leaning on each other as male and female, and gain, like I said, using the strengths that he's given us individually, but then together it's like a superpower, and that's how we get to show up in the world. So I don't know if I answered your question or not. Is there space for feminism? Yes, there is. There is space for feminism. Is it still under God's authority and his covering and his blessing? Yes, it is. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I knew I would. No, I think that's so good. I also think like what you were saying about like how there is no difference within God, and there is no like male or female or anything like that. And I think that's so beautiful. But I was thinking, I feel like what makes that so amazing is that women, like we have, I think the reason why we've had to fight for all of our rights is because it had been like survival. I think we were talking about this earlier, or like earlier in the week, but I had like this epiphany that every time like women had to go to the workforce because men had to go to war.
Right.
So then we go into the workforce, we find out, oh, hey, guess what? They're not paying us.
Work.
We're working the same amount, maybe more, and they're not paying us the same. Like we're getting gypped. So then they were like, let's fix that. And so then it was because of like this injustice, women had to fight for it again. And so it like, and then it kept on happening with like other things, obviously as time in history, with property, with marriage, with
because
everything.
Traditionally we had been in the home raising kids, doing all the things that women did back then.
Yeah.
But once that shifted, then we saw the inequality, the justice, the injustice.
Yeah.
And we fought to make it be just.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, but a lot of that inequality, I mean, literally, we can't point anywhere else except for like the people who set it up, which just so happen to be men. I'm just saying, putting that out there. But I do think though that creates, I feel like, the actual tension within like now within marriages, within even relationships with men that women have, because it is like so many times it does feel like you're having to like fight twice as hard, because it's like the system was built around us, like the way men think, the way that men function, the way that men do things, and not the way women do things, which is fine, but it's like it's a hurdle, you know what I mean, to overcome. But I do think though, and I totally agree with you, like when men and women do work together, it's like so phenomenal. And that's
so
the way
that God intended it to be. This is like the garden at its max. This is like exactly the plan of God, that that there was deficits in Adam that Eve had, and deficits in Eve that Adam had. And when you come together, you see now the whole picture of God. You can't see the whole picture of God in just Adam or in just Eve, but it takes both. And when we do it together, now these systems are still in place. All these systems are still here. We're not about to go and change everything, right? We haven't been able to change everything. But what if we come together and really make this heaven on earth by working together and by doing that? And I think that slowly we're achieving that. At least maybe my optimism, my positivity is kicking in, that we can do that if we continue to work towards that being the goal.
Absolutely. I think that's so good. And I think what also makes like submission such like a hot button topic or whatever, I always have a joke whenever people always bring up that verse, so like women need to submit. I'm always like, well, God says men need to die. You can look it up, you get yourself.
Mic drop.
Yeah, God literally said go die, respectfully. And I feel like that's kind of where like the disconnect is it's always like, about women, again, women to be smaller, to be quieter, to just submit, right? And I think what I find beautiful at marriage as like a not married person who's also like a feminist, is that I love that whenever like a man is like a great man that like actually loves his wife and like and actually would die like Christ died for the church, like those kinds of like feelings and those kinds of actions as well that are like, you know, supported by that. I think it's so beautiful how it actually allows his wife to flourish and to be,
let's talk about that,
to be like to be all those things that women were created to be and are naturally good at, like making things beautiful, like raising children, like being compassionate, like being empathetic, like all those things, qualities that women don't have to really work, like the majority of women don't have to work hard to like feel and to do, but it's like in them to do that. I feel like a strong, certain man who can lead, that those qualities in a woman like just come out naturally, and it's beautiful.
And I think too, like what we've talked about this before, of you can see in the semblance of a woman the condition of her heart when it comes to her husband, when it comes to what he thinks about her, what is really going on in their life. Because if you see a woman that is like cast down, just like sad, that looks sad, it's like, okay, there's something there that is not working well to have her. I've said this before, like I know that God made me with all these gifts and talents and who I am. I know he's made me that, but you know what? It's actually taken a lot of my husband to draw those things out of me and to say, absolutely go for it. And I'm like, there's no way I could become a pastor. There's no way I could do. He goes, honey, you have everything that you got to do this. And I came on staff before he did. You know, but I would have never done that if he was like, yeah, what are you thinking? You're a woman. Sit down. Shut up. Submit. But no, he was like the driving force in doing that. Every business that I've taken on, he has been like the number one fan, like supporting and saying, I'll go with you. I'll do it. You can do this, babe. You can get to the number one and do all these things. And he has been that huge push behind me too, that because he knows who he is. He's confident. He's not trying to keep me down so he can look good. You know what I'm saying? And then we see this a lot too, where unfortunately that has been marriages, that has been relationships that where the man tries to stay up here so then the wife can feel like, well, I'm the man, I'm more important and all these things. And you can't do that. You're really, you know, you're shooting yourself in the foot by not allowing your wife, a woman in your life to thrive and succeed, because that's something that it's an innate gift in her that needs to come out. And how awesome that you get to play part in that, in bringing it out and drawing it out. So,
for sure. I think that's so good. I think there's such a, and I feel like that, like what you just described is like a partnership, right? Like he believes in you as much as you believe in him. And there's like, and I mean, growing up, I remember seeing that playing out all the time, that like there was just such a mutual respect between the both of you. But I also, like, you have always been like very strong though. Like, even though you were like quiet or whatever when you were younger, like you've always been very sure of yourself and like, and what you believe and like what you know to be true. And I mean, I'm just so glad I got to see that. And it's astounding to think that my mom and like her sisters had to figure out how to be women and like without any kind of example, because they are literally the best women I know. Like if they could write a book on how to be a woman, they would make millions and millions.
Share our story. What even our upbringing.
I know.
Was like,
I'll get my aunts on the pod. They're
do
crazy.
That. My
sisters
crazy. Would be amazing.
They're amazing.
The three of
they're
us.
also like at the top of their game. All like you, Deanna, Nancy, the others, like they're all at the top of their fields, like amazing. And they have like worked it. They've gone to college. They've done like amazing things. So I'm like, me doing this is like me just, I don't even know, like reaping the benefits of thinking people care about what I have to say because I was always around these like so smart, amazing women. And And so, yeah, I'm just so thankful for that. But I
Well,
do.
I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thanks,
I
Mom.
love you. You're
I love you.
amazing. And I love
Um,
that we raised a little feminist. I love it.
There we go.
I love it.
There we
I
go.
think that you're the most independent girl and confident. And I know that a lot of that was because I wanted to do things different than how it was done with me. First of all, I didn't even have a template of what that looked like. Oh, I'm going to make you cry now.
I know. Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
No, but to see that now, like in living color, what that looks like, I'm incredibly proud of you as my daughter, and just the way that you are. I couldn't ask for something more. So you are my greatest gift, and so is Derek.
Love you, Mom.
Love you.
Thank you. But it's so good. I'm so glad. It's been so fun to like continue. I guess like always figure out these things together.
Yeah.
And I feel like to a degree, like you and I have both grown up together too.
Yeah.
You had me when you were my age,
23.
younger than me.
Derek's
Okay.
age.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And so I do feel like there's that, like everything I know of like being a woman, how to be a woman, what that looks like. I mean, you're my example, and I couldn't ask for a better one of seeing you go through every season being amazing. And Dad's cool. No,
He is.
no,
He's
but
a keeper.
I do think it is amazing though. Like, I would love to have Dad on as well to talk
know.
about like what a man's source is, because I feel like for women, our source is feeling like we're not, like the false source, right?
Yeah.
Is feeling like we're not doing enough. We aren't, so we're not enough, right? Like we're
Right.
not being all these things for everyone. So like we're failing, right?
Right.
And I think that's like the lie to like be a successful woman. You have to be everything for
Everything to
everyone,
everyone.
all at once. And that's just
And
not
do it
true.
with a smile.
And do it with a smile. And look good. And
look
do
good
it in
in
heels. Do it in heels. Yep. And that's just insane.
Yeah,
And
it
so,
is.
but anyways, I would love to hear his version of
That'd
that
be
as well.
awesome.
But yeah, this is so good. Do you have any other thoughts about like being a woman, being feminist? Any advice you would give to the girlies, or even like the guys listening? I would
Yeah.
love, I really hope that men listen to this
I
podcast.
know.
I feel like it's so helpful to understand a perspective that isn't your own.
Not that they'll ever understand the mind of a woman,
No.
but this is good insight into like what we talk about and what we think
Yeah.
about. I think for girls, I would say like allow yourself space to grow and to keep developing and to keep becoming who you are. And you will not be the same person that you were at 17, at 50. You won't. And own it. Like own your space, own your voice, say what you think. Don't stay quiet. Don't stay in the background. I think that's what I would tell the girls, that's something that's what a gift to be a woman. I would not want to trade it for anything in the world. It's the best being a woman. And just cherishing the way that God has created us. It's the beautiful part of God is what we are. And I'm not talking about the beauty from the outside. I'm talking about the heart, the compassion, the generosity, the intuition, the kindness, the joy, all the things that God has put in us. It's so unique to the way that he created us, that he fashioned us. And I think that's something that we just need to embrace and cherish, because we are pretty amazing. So
We are pretty amazing.
Period.
I love that. That's so good. I loved this quote that I heard earlier in the week that said, "You haven't met all of you yet."
Yes.
And I don't know who said it, but I can't get it out of my head. And I feel like that's just so encouraging as like all of us are growing up, whoever you are listening to this, we're all figuring out, we're
right.
all like just trying to find our way in the map of life, wherever you find
Journey of
yourself.
discovery.
Yeah.
That's it.
And yeah, it's just such a helpful reminder that like you haven't met all of you yet. You don't know who you'll be even tomorrow. You're changing. We're normalize changing your mind.
Yep.
One presented with new information. Normalize just growing up. Continue, like never stop growing up. I think would be my advice to women, to everyone. But yeah, thank you so much,
I
Mom.
love that.
Yeah, hope you had fun.
Welcome. It was fun.
Was it
I
chill?
love it. I loved it. Yes.
Okay, good.
So chill.
Good. Well, thank you guys for watching, for listening. Mom, do you want to do you have any, like, do you want to plug your Instagram or something? I'm kidding.
No.
Mom's here.
That's it.
No, I do want you and Dad on, like, eventually on a different podcast or
Yeah,
something. But thank you so much for watching, listening. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. They won't let me put links in the description. I need to build a channel history. Subscribe to the channel and leave a comment, rate us 5 stars wherever you're listening to this, and leave a comment as well. Tell me what you thought. Can Christians be feminist? I don't know. Let me know. I mean, I do know, but and you can follow my personal Instagram, Danielle Siani, or you can also follow and you can also follow youarehere.pod on Instagram. And yeah, anything else? Am I missing anything, Derek? Fantastic. Thank you guys. Love you. See you later. Bye.
Bye.